Hi, I'm Simon, I live in Lancaster.
I'm Ryan and I attend St Thomas sixth form. Together we interviewed Fred Webster. I wanted to interview Fred because I was interested in communicating with a published writer, and I also found his transition from a successful business into the world of writing, which was very new to him, very encouraging.
I found Fred a fascinating person to interview, and I enjoyed the challenge of making an interview style film.
Frederick Webster, age 74 3/4. I was born in Sheffield, 1939, shortly before the Blitz, because Sheffield was blitzed very badly. And I spent a lot of my babyhood in a cellar, sheltering from Hitler's bombers. I live in Lancaster now, and Lancaster's nice because it's a nice, friendly, small town. I am originally a man of commerce. I was educated in commerce. I have qualifications in marketing from many years ago, and made a success of that in the health and leisure field. But up until then it had been a creative exercise because we were new, the industry was new in this country. We were the pioneers really, I suppose. Nobody had open commercial gymnasiums before, and so we were all very creative in it. And then a lot of people came into the industry, competition built up, we lost the monopoly, the creativity went out of it for me, and I decided that was enough, and I just packed it all in. Not really knowing what I wanted to do, but I always knew I could write because I used to write all the training manuals. So I just decided I wanted to sit down and write, and it came very quickly. The work I've done so far in my life has been a combination of short stories, poetry and some fiction. And even though I'm 74 now, I still am producing new work, which is quite encouraging. So the juices of creativity have not left me yet. And I found I could quickly fall into a parody style. I could quickly reproduce the sort of style that other writers use. And it's a bit of an unusual gift, I suppose. Written in the style of Shakespeare, there's one written in the style of Longfellow. I suppose you could say I've been fortunate enough to be able to succeed at two things in my life, which is literature, writing and commerce. I'm a lucky man, I suppose.
Okay. So it must have been a very interesting experience to transfer from commerce to literature. What was that like?
Well, it was a shock, to be truthful with you. I'd only ever known one thing in my life until then, and that was working at a desk or working in a unit, training people, seeing to customers, doing business and making a profit. And to pack all that I'd learned, to pack all that in for something that wasn't really quite clear to me was a shock. Yeah? And I spent 3 weeks by myself just here, alone, thinking, what in God's name have I done? You know, because in commerce, anybody in business will tell you, once you take your eye off the ball, it's very hard to get back into it. It's not something you can pick up and put down. So I realised that the bridges had been burned. And so I decided that I need to spend a bit of respite here by myself. And it was very fruitful, because it suddenly became all less fearful for me, and I could see a bit of an horizon. The death of one thing is the life of the next thing. You know, that's exactly what the evolution of life is all about. Moving on. Stagnation is death. Movement is life. This is called A Hymn to the Enterprise Culture. A pension fund and stocks and shares, a GTI and Sky TV. Me I don't get no money cares, I get my tan in Rimini. I jet to Spain for fun and sand and ski down slopes in Switzerland. With 30k plus benefits, I really couldn't give a shit. I saw my chance and took it. I've got a private healthcare plan so I can jump the queue. I work damn hard for all I've got, it's really down to you. If you can't make it, that's too bad. There's loads of money to be had. I know the country's on the skids. There won't be much left for the kids. All I can say is fuck it. Thank you.
There you go.
I've never been an academic, so I've never had to really get to the bottom of one author or one genre of writing. I've been lucky enough to be able to flip-flop from one to the other, but Dickens was certainly a big influence, as has been Shakespeare. Thomas Hood has always been my favourite English poet. Charles Lamb, one of my favourite English writers. Sidney J. Perelman, the American humorist who wrote for the New Yorker for many years. O. Henry, American short story writer. These are the influences, I think, which have shaped me as I am today. And as I said to you before, anything I've ever read influences me. I don't let anything go by me, whether it's a flyer in the mailbox or a newspaper or a TV programme. It's this man who I call Burton Wood, who comes to his little house in Lancaster when he's packed his job in and he decides he's got to think about what he's got to do. And here we go. Try and imagine the problems encountered when, unaided and unprepared, a naive individual, for no reason that could be considered logical, attempts to break into the world of creative writing. The difficulties in trying to master the complexities of this elusive craft. The frustrations and disappointments experienced when trying to get the work accepted. Charles Lamb, Thomas Hood, the very English writers always appealed to me. And it's stylistic, but it doesn't take away the probity of the style. It gets to the bottom of that style, gets to the bottom of things, I think.
Well, I'd love to hear it.
This is not stand-up. It's called To Pilgrimage. With errant step, our attitude to truth misjudged, we blindly tread our life's uncertain path. Elusive images of our destination, like shadows cast upon our feeling consciousness, avail us nothing we can clasp in faith. Our inability to see ensures our loss.
But later on, you've got some more kind of down-to-earth type stuff, don't you?
You know, we're all animal lovers, really. If we're human, we're animal lovers, aren't we? But we do think, why don't people just have a little bit of care over the pet's behaviour, laboratorial behaviour, because we have to pick up the consequences, don't we? Just walking the dog. Take the dog out for a walk before we settle down, but mind our lawn and borders, because they've only just been sown. There's lots of grass up by the park, the kids just play there for a lark. There won't be many folk around, in any case it's common ground, the only bit remaining. Take the dog out for a walk, I've not had chance today. We always seem so busy, but he seems to be okay. Well, bring him in and wipe his paws, he only made it to next doors. It's that new dog food that we bought, it always seemed to catch him short. I'm thinking of complaining.